Hello everybody and welcome. Like I said, I'm done with the larger items. Now we're on the smaller items. As you can see here, we have a piece of teak deck from the USS North Carolina. It came with this nice little plaque. It didn't come with a certificate of authenticity because this plaque is on here. Not sure what I would have been mounted here, but as you can see, it's a pretty big, thick piece of wood. Looks like a square mounting on the bottom. So, a little bit of information on North Carolina. Obviously, it was commissioned April 9th, 1941, decommissioned June 27th, 1947, and the memorial was made pretty much after the war. I know the North Carolina participated in the Battle of the Eastern Solomons, providing anti-aircraft fire and support for the USS Enterprise. The North Carolina actually put out so much anti-aircraft that the Enterprise and other surrounding ships were radioed to see if the ship had been hit, because that's how much smoke was coming from the ship with it being fired upon. They thought the ship had, been hit somewhere, but when they stopped firing, all the smoke disappeared, and North Carolina was actually it was fine. The submarine I-19 on September 5th, 1942, actually fired torpedoes, a spread of 6 of them, at the Wasp, and 2 out of the 3 hit the Wasp. The other ones actually went on, and one of them struck the North Carolina about 20 feet below the waterline on the port side and tore a 32 by 18-foot hole in the plating. 5 men were killed in the attack, but it inflicted little serious damage apart from the shock of the blast. It disabled the forward turret. It also developed a list of 5.5 degrees, and it was quickly corrected by counterflooding. It was also sent overseas to Europe to kind of, I'm sorry, it was not sent over to Europe. It was made to counter the German battleship Tirpitz. So when they were designing this, that's what they were trying to outclass and outdo, or at least meet if they had met on the battlefield out in the ocean. It also participated in the Gilbert and Marshall Islands campaign, the Mariana and Palau Islands, and she obviously saw combat in the Battle of the Philippine Sea. So she had a pretty extensive career. I'll make sure to list the battles down in the description, along with a link to go and get more information off of this. So going right on through, we're going to skip over my piece of the Missouri because I don't know where that's at currently. So next up we have the USS Wisconsin. Now, they didn't send very lot, that makes sense. Very much of their teak decking. I'm not sure why, compared to what North Carolina sent. They just sent a little bit. Being from Wisconsin, this was obviously pretty neat to me. She was built in the Philadelphia shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, launched December 7th, 1943. From what I've seen, she didn't have much action in World War II. I think she served as support and was there during the surrender of Japan, but I'm not 100% sure. My favorite story from the ship is, I'm sure everybody who knows the USS Wisconsin, is the Temper story. It's not World War II related, but is related to the ship. So in the Korean War, the North Korean artillery had fired a shell and got a lucky hit on the Wisconsin. I don't believe it injured anybody, but in return, the USS Wisconsin turned all of her 9 16-inch guns and leveled the area where the artillery I can't talk today. The artillery was coming from. So one of the supporting ships sent back Temper, which is where the story comes from. To put it in perspective, it'd be like throwing a penny at someone and then them just full on giving you a right hook. I mean, it was completely overused, not needed, but don't piss off a battleship, I guess. So it's a very funny story. Again, being from Wisconsin, I look forward to actually going to tour the ship. Hopefully later this summer, you can actually spend a night like you would at a hotel on the ship. They'll serve you breakfast. You can sleep in the sleeping quarters, and I'm really looking forward to that. They only offer it during summertime, so I missed out the last couple of years, and obviously COVID didn't help. But I'm hoping either to this year or next year. So up next, I have the USS Iowa. Piece of her deck, as you can see, a larger piece. I don't know why the Wisconsin sent such a small piece. She obviously played a role in the Marshall Islands. She offered support to carrier groups. She supported the Okinawa campaign. She relieved the USS New Jersey. As you know, the Iowa was struck by a kamikaze. They actually buried the pilot at sea due to respect. And she actually fired upon the main island of Japan July the 17th and July the 18th. And on the 29th and 23rd of July, she also bombarded and continued to support fast carrier strikes until the end of hostilities on August the 15th, 1945. She obviously served in the Korean War and later was recommissioned back into service for Desert Storm. In 2011, she was donated to the Los Angeles-based nonprofit Pacific Battleship Center, and she was open to the public. So she is the last one, if my knowledge is correct, to be decommissioned of the Iowa-class battleships, and she is going through upgrades and remodels every year, as far as I've seen on their YouTube channel. I follow that kind of close. One of the funny things of this ship, I have in my little notebook here, says among the vessels escorting the Iowa on the trip to Algeria was the destroyer William D. Porter. It was involved in several mishaps, and the most serious of which was a torpedo drill, which a torpedo was fired from the Porter and headed towards the Iowa. On being warned, the Iowa turned and avoided the torpedo and detonated in the ship's wake. Iowa was unhurt, but did man her guns towards the Porter, concerned that the smaller ship may have been involved in some sort of assassination plot because of the fact, I believe, it was carrying the president. So, a little interesting story. I never really knew that till I actually looked into the ship. So that was kind of neat. Finding something new out about ships that, everybody loves. I'm not sure if anyone else knew that. And finally, the last piece of battleship here is from the USS New Jersey. She shelled targets on Guam, Okinawa, screened anti-aircraft for the aircraft carriers, conducted raids in the Marshall Islands. Again, she was active during the Korean War. Also brought back for Desert Storm along with the USS Wisconsin. So this Teak deck does come with a certificate of authenticity from the museum. The decking was removed in 2019-2020 for overhaul reasons during normal maintenance. So this is, right off the deck, right off the ship. The USS Jersey is the most decorated battleship in the history of the United States, from what their website says. So one of the things that I found out while researching this is that when the sailors would leave these ships, sometimes they take a piece of wood or a piece of the decking home or something like that, because of the fact that they want to take the good luck along with them. So if you look into the Iowa class battleships in particular, you'll see some of the veterans are upset that they're starting to sell the decking now because of the fact that that was their, the price they paid. That's something they got to keep and was special to them. And now that it's open up to the public, obviously it's not as special. The New Jersey also participated in U.S. operations during the Lebanese Civil War in 1983. So, some pretty cool history. Hopefully you guys learned something about these ships. I know I was kind of all over the place with the information. Didn't have all my stuff ready to say Hopefully you enjoyed it. I know looking at it's just some wood, but pretty cool history of where they came from. I'll be sure to link links in the bio to each of these different ships, the history of them. So if you're interested in any of them, you can go ahead and look for yourselves, do some digging for yourselves, and hopefully everybody enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if you know any other small details. If you happen to see this and you served on any of these ships that came back into service during the Gulf War, or Desert Storm, excuse me, please let me know something cool that you did, where you were stationed, what you did, anything like that. I would love to hear from you if you did serve on these ships. Thanks for tuning in.